first of all, like dropshipping is a bit of a scam. With dropshipping, you're always chasing the next buck. Where when I acquire one customer, I hope and I know that they're going to come back over the next 5 years, 10, 20 times.
All right, Oliver Brocato, my friend. Okay, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Sex chocolate.
Yep.
How did you get into that? Where's your business at? What's it all about?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This year we're going to do over $10 million in revenue at 40 to 45% net profit margins. And we're probably going to put up over 1 billion views organically.
And how old are you?
I'm 21.
Okay. So guys, I'm bringing Oliver on here because a lot of times when you see podcasts on social media, you see people with a large following, and then any business they kind of start from that following is successful. Oliver here has done it without building a personal brand. He's recently made a few videos on his YouTube channel sharing his actual whole story. So if you want to go listen to that, where can they find you there?
Oliver Brocato.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've watched the video. I know your story. So I just want to get straight into like the business tactics, how you're making this possible.
Let's talk about it.
A lot of people make money online. Drop shipping is really popular.
Right.
The number one thing that stuck out about you to me when I saw your content was you focused first things first on making a good product.
Absolutely.
Drop shipping, that's almost like the third or fourth thing. That's like snuck under the rug in a way where you don't talk about the product. It's like find a product that is like popular right now and sell it. There's no focus on the product. So how did you get that mindset? And then how did you make a good product?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think first of all, like drop shipping is a bit of a scam in the sense that everybody tells beginners that like, this is your entry point into e-commerce and like, this is how you're going to make millions of dollars and this is how you're going to be successful. But the reality is that I think that it's arguably harder to run a successful drop shipping store than it is to build a legitimate
100%.
brand. And the reason being is that with drop shipping, you're always chasing the next buck. You're always chasing the quick fad and things are constantly moving. And so it's really hard to establish yourself. On top of that, you know, with dropshipping, you're delivering a shitty customer experience, which means that there is no LTV. You're getting a quick lick, which means that you need to be profitable on the customer acquisition cost, and you don't get to milk the returning customer that hopefully you want to create with a legitimate brand. Where when I acquire one customer, I hope and I know that they're going to come back over the next 5 years, 10, 20 times, which allows me margin to play with when I'm acquiring them in the beginning.
Yeah, and this is huge because a lot of people just think they need to like use aggressive marketing tactics, find a quick product and then sell it and that's success. But then they run into problems where their ads are unprofitable or they can't scale their store. No shit, because no one's going to their friend and telling them to buy their product. No one's coming back to buy more.
Absolutely.
The point you're saying.
And you're also just like not building anything long term because you're always chasing like the next quick hot product. Whereas with a brand, you're building equity. And by the way, like the real wealth comes from the exit, not from the cash flow, because every single dollar that you generate with a legitimate brand, you get to see 3 to 5x of that when you eventually exit. Could be more even if you know you're running a bigger brand. So like that's where like generational wealth is made, not off of like selling trinkets, you know, from Alibaba, but actually building out an amazing product, building out an amazing customer experience, and ultimately a brand.
So how do you make a good product?
That's a good question. You know, for me, most people start off with, you know, trying to build the product and brand, and then they try to figure out how to market it. Whereas I have a very kind of clear understanding and background of TikTok and, you know, viral marketing. And so I kind of reverse engineered it, where I was like, how do I build a product that's going to go viral, that lends itself to organically going viral? And that was like the genesis and the thesis of Tabs. A lot of people are like, yo, what, sex chocolate? What are you like obsessed with sex? What are you obsessed with chocolate? And like, you know, while I certainly like both.
Definitely not your passion.
No. I can't lie. I do like both, but you know, it wasn't like, oh, like I'm obsessed with sex chocolate. Like, no, it was like, I know that I could market the shit out of this. I know that I could blow this thing up on social media and ultimately make this thing pop, and we've done just that.
So you almost took the approach that this would be controversial in a way. So
Absolutely.
That's why it's a good business opportunity, because your strategy would be organic. And so if people just talk about this, naturally it'd get their attention.
100%.
And so that's why you chose to make the business.
Exactly. So, you know, little secret for you, we actually saw a similar product on TikTok. That was the genesis of Tabs. We saw a similar product and some random chick posted a TikTok about it. It had 8 million views, 2 million likes. I go to do research on the brand. They're not being sold online. Their packaging and branding sucks. They have no social media presence. And it's like, holy shit, there's massive opportunity here. Clearly it can go viral. Clearly like it's an intrinsically viral product. If somebody with the right background came in to execute, they could make millions and millions of dollars. And I decided that that person was going to be me.
Okay, so you found that product. You're like,
Right.
wow, this has potential. A clear-cut strategy.
Absolutely.
It's going to be controversial.
Yeah.
So I watched your video, and you said it took you over a year to make this product.
Yeah.
Dude, what is that process? Because I'm someone who's only sold online products. So a physical product,
Yeah.
chocolate,
Yeah.
the ingredients, the packaging.
Yeah.
How did you even find these suppliers? Tell me everything.
Okay, I mean, first of all, like it's complex. It took a ton of time. It took a ton of work, but that also became our moat because those barriers to entry is what protected us from the other 300 eCom guys that go in, they see something hot, rip you off, and the market gets saturated and you get fucked, right? So while it was definitely difficult, it's also kind of been our protection and been, one of our competitive advantages.
So how'd you find them? Like your actual manufacturers?
Yeah. So what's crazy is that everything is at your fingertips. Like I truly believe that. Like with the internet, like you could do anything. You could fucking do whatever you put your mind to. And like some people think that I had like some secret sauce or like some like connection to a manufacturer. Like the reality is I looked up chocolate co-manufacturer on Google.
Nice.
And then I scraped every single website for the first 20 or 30 pages. And I was just ringing phones, calling people, pitching myself, asking what their MOQ was, asking,
What's
like,
MOQ?
minimum order quantity.
Okay.
So the thing is with like a lot of manufacturers is that they're not going to deal with you unless you're ordering 2 million squares right off the bat. I only had $30,000 total to start this business, which I compiled from my previous ventures. Then there were many, from fidget spinners to running an agency, to drop shipping, to running stores on eBay and Etsy, to working for my friend's mom who owned a fashion brand. Like there were a bunch of other ventures, and over time I saved up a little bit of money, and I basically deployed all of that capital to start Tabs.
Okay, so you literally Googled a chocolate manufacturer,
Literally.
found 20, and so you're calling them asking
More than
what-
20. It was like hundreds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so say you settled on them, like one or like three.
Yeah.
What were you looking for between those three? Who came up with the formula?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest thing was the MOQ, because the reality is that nobody wants to work with somebody that's only going to order $10,000 worth of chocolate, right? Like there's a lot of time, energy, and effort that comes with the formulation. And then B, like in order to do a run, there are a lot of fixed costs involved, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing a 10,000 piece run or a 10 million piece run, like setting up the equipment, cleaning all the equipment, et cetera, like those stay consistent. And so as a result, like 99.9% of the chocolate co-manufacturers don't want to touch you unless you're doing big numbers. And so right off the bat, there were only like one or two companies that we found that were viable. And then in terms of like kind of finding the one, it was just conversations, it was pricing, sampling the chocolate, which was super fun. I got to order like 8 different kinds of chocolate. And we had like a taste test with all my friends.
That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it was fire. But that's what that process looked like there.
And so did you have, like, this chocolate manufacturer was totally fine just putting anything in the chocolate, knowing what the product was going to be?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's what he specialized in. He specialized in like
no
alternative chocolates, not necessarily sex chocolate, but he played around, and he had one project where he was working with a brand, and it was like a beetroot like superfood healthy chocolate, or like a CBD chocolate, or so he focused on like different kind of variations of chocolate. And for us, it's not that big of a difference. Instead of a nootropic, it's a sex supplement that usually comes in a pill and powder. It's not like we radicalized or came up with some insane formula. We didn't reinvent the wheel. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist. Basically, we took the most popular and effective natural supplements that usually come in a pill and powder format and repackaged it and turned it into an incredibly luxury experience that was destigmatized, that wasn't taboo, and something that people could be proud to share with their partner.
And those like your values that you defined from the start.
Absolutely.
And that's the conversation you're having with your manufacturer.
Absolutely.
And so your chocolate manufacturer and your packaging manufacturer are different from what I saw.
There are a lot of moving parts. So, there's the chocolate manufacturer, right? But even before that, there are 3 different supplement manufacturers that we have to, work with in order to get the raw materials over to the chocolatier.
So they don't actually make that. That's what.
No. So the chocolatier handles the chocolate, but there are specialty supplements, and each of those specialty supplements come from their own vendors. Then, for the chocolate, there's also custom virgin polycarbonate molds. The chocolates don't just spawn in, like a breakable format with like, our logo and T and, in our impressions. Like it doesn't just like come out of the press like that. We had to formulate and create these
so your
specialized
logo's on the chocolate?
Yeah, man.
How critical was that for you to launch? Did you launch with that?
Absolutely. I mean, in reality, I don't know how critical it was. In my head, it was super critical because, you know, this was like my first real
Good branding.
business.
It looks professional.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that.
And that builds trust.
Well, that was the thing. Like, this was like, I was putting like my whole entire savings on the line. And so like, to me, like every single detail mattered. I wasn't going to leave any stone unturned because it's like, yo, I'm pretty much gambling the house. So might as well take the best swing I possibly could.
Really respect that. And that's what young entrepreneurs need to understand. And the fact that you understand that at 21 is really impressive. And that's why you're seeing the success you're seeing. Yeah. So how many manufacturers total do you have?
Probably like 8.
Damn. These are all just calls, text, multiple relationships you're trying to build.
Yep.
Different countries, different time zones.
Different countries, different time zones, different lead times.
Yeah. That's the hard part.
Oh my God.
Supply chain management, yeah.
100%. Because if one of the manufacturers fucks up, or if we fuck up and we don't order the right amount, everything's at a halt. And in the beginning, we fucked up a lot. And I'll tell you all about that.
I want to hear it. So
yeah.
First, tell me about your packaging though. So what were you actually like focused on when it came to packaging? You wanted to make a controversial product in a way with a luxury feel. So the packaging probably was a big emphasis on that.
Absolutely. I mean, before we get into the packaging, like just like the chocolate, right? The chocolate breaks in half and it's a half for each partner. That was super intentional. The reason being is that like, if you see that on video, you don't need to explain it. You don't need like, you know, a bunch of text or a bunch of like, hey, this is how it works and this is what you're supposed to do. Like, no. In 3 seconds, visually, you're able to grapple with the idea of sex chocolate. We split it in half. My girl eats half, I eat half, and then, you know, there's some like cut to like, you know, a sexy scene or whatever. And so by allowing us to like describe the essence of the product in a 3-second video clip, that is what has contributed to our success greatly. Additionally, like, you know, we could have put 50 chocolates in a box. We could have put 100 chocolates in a box or done a massive bar. Instead, we decided to go the opposite and do it very scarce. The reason being is like we wanted to create this luxury feel. We wanted to create this experience. And so we felt
Special
that
occasion,
exactly. And if you put like 100, it's like, okay, it's a whatever. It doesn't really matter. But by keeping it like very limited, it just creates this vibe. It creates this feeling. And so that was super intentional as well. Like every single detail was very, very like conscious.
You have one core value, luxury experience, and then you're making every decision off of that.
Absolutely.
Down to quantity, design.
Absolutely.
If I had a piece of chocolate that's supposed to be a sex chocolate and it's just like a blank square.
Fuck that.
And it was like rough around the edges. I'd be like, this is sketchy.
Or it's like a bar. It's like, yo, this is like Hershey's. Like, no. We differentiated ourselves. We're not selling chocolate. We're selling an experience. We're selling a mood. And therefore, like the whole entire vibe needs to be spot on. I mean, otherwise, how do you justify selling 3 tiny 20-gram squares of chocolate for $29.99? Like you can't justify that, right? But I'm not selling you chocolate. I'm selling you the best night of your life with your loved one.
Okay, so then the packaging itself, it looks beautiful.
Thank you.
Black, gold.
Yeah.
That's a lot of your UGC. I can see like a lot of that being shown. So
100%.
What has been the complications there, or what has been like, how did you actually go about that in the first place? Reaching out to these people. How did you word it? Do you have that vision in your mind? Did you have a graphic designer? Did they do that? How did that work?
No graphic designer. Designed it myself.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, designed it myself. I think I was using Canva. I was using Canva, which is like pretty crazy. And then the manufacturer had their designer kind of clean it up and, you know, make like 3D renders, and they sent us samples, and it was an amazing process.
I know it sounds straightforward to you because you've done it, but a lot of people, this is probably like scary. And so that's why I like to hear like the details of how the business came to be.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I took a lot of inspiration from the Truff hot sauce box. Have you seen the Truff hot sauce box? It's amazing. And if you actually look at the Truff hot sauce box, it's very, very similar to my box. It just creates this luxury feel. Are you familiar with Truff?
No.
Okay, they're like a super high-end, expensive truffle hot sauce brand. Okay. And they sell a little bottle of truffle hot sauce. Yes. Truffle's expensive, but I mean, it's truffle infused. It probably costs them pennies, right? And they sell the bottle for like $30. And they did such a phenomenal job on the branding, the customer experience, and specifically the packaging. And so when I went to build my box, I used them as a model and framework to pull from. And so, you know, when you look at my box, like there's the gold foil stamping, and you know, when you lift it open, it has our socials on the inside lid, and where the chocolate lies in each crevice, you pull out the chocolate and there's an emoji underneath of it. And if you flip it on the back, like there's like a special saying. Like it's all about contributing to that customer experience and to that vibe, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to get the customers through the door. Now, the product needs to deliver if we want to keep them coming back. But in terms of the customer acquisition, it's not the chocolate. It's not the experience. It's, you know, is it attractive? Is this something that I want to buy? And I think that we did a pretty good job.
Nailed it.
Thank
So
you.
that's the manufacturing process. How many people for packaging did you talk to? Different potential?
Hundreds.
Hundreds?
We sent hundreds of messages.
How many samples did you get?
Probably like 3 or 4.
Okay.
We narrowed it down really, really quickly. But I mean, yeah, like it's important to cast a wide net, to talk to all the different options, and at least just like kind of get like similar comps.
Where are you talking to these people?
So for the packaging, we found the manufacturer on Alibaba. We were looking for box manufacturers on Alibaba, and we just shot a message to any relevant company.
On the platform, or are you on WeChat?
Originally was on the platform, then we moved over to Skype.
Okay.
And then my contact Julie like stopped responding on Skype, so then somehow got onto WeChat, which was super weird because you need like an activation code.
I remember doing that.
You know what I'm talking
so
about?
hard
Like
to get,
you need somebody in WeChat to like
recommend
activate
you,
you, which was like pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, so now we're on WeChat and Skype. When she doesn't respond, I have to hit her on WeChat. But the Skype chat was kind of like our direct comms.
Okay.
And by the way, the box requires a ton of hand labor. Like it is not like a a mass production kind of factory machine that's spitting them out like one by one. Like there is so much attention to detail and TLC and care that goes into it. And I actually looked into moving the box production operations to the United States because the lead times were quite high. Months, yeah. Right. But I kid you not, I couldn't even find a U.S. manufacturer that would take it here because of how labor intensive it was. So like we're kind of stuck with it being made in China, and we kind of have to bite the bullet and just order a lot of boxes at once and make sure that we're planning months in advance. And the chocolate's made in the United States. I want to get that straight. Like the chocolate is literally made in Salt Lake City, Utah. Anything that touches the chocolate or anything involved in the chocolate is made in the United States. The only components of the supply chain that are made outsourced from China is A, the boxes, and then B, the chrome polymillers.
I just can imagine you have to get these ordered. Those take 90 days to ship.
Yep.
These take 2 months to make, but
Right.
2 weeks to ship.
Right.
You need these polymillers. Like it's such a
Right.
balance.
Oh, and then there's like the special plastic film that wraps the chocolate. That's a specific manufacturer. It's crazy. And then like for the polymillers, it creates an embryonic effect, which essentially traps the heat from coming coming into the chocolate, because chocolate melts.
Of course.
Duh.
Yeah.
But that was
that.
that was not something that I thought about when I first started the brand, until we had customers complaining left and right when the summer months hit, and I was like, holy shit, this is a massive issue.
I can just imagine like the feeling of survival and stress on your shoulders.
Oh my God.